I think the reason why he killed all those kids in the school was because he was a social outcast, and that was probably the only way he thought he could have lashed out and gotten some attention. Unfortunately, his actions end up getting 17 people killed, and it's only going to further isolate him. This is honestly just a very sad story. It's the climax and the beginning of a very sad part of his life and a lot of people's life, unfortunately. So this is an article someone wrote, and they're interviewing one of his this is one of his classmates. He's is one of his peers. To say, he was definitely not accepted in our school socially. People saw him as someone who was different than normal people at our school. Brody added, Douglas High School is a place called the Emo Gazeebo. He said that's where all the kids who were considered weird and not accepted sat. People at the Emo Gazebo didn't even accept him over there. He was just an outcast. He didn't have any friends. Wow. So when you're socially isolated, especially in high school, because that's pretty much your entire life at that point, you're going to feel a huge amount of rejection. You're going to feel like nobody wants you and nobody wants to be your friend. And that does something to you, especially someone that's developing right now, like him. He was around 19. His brain is still developing. You're not fully developed until you're like 25. So he's still developing, and he's getting just so much rejection that he thinks that he has no friends. He's not a part of any social group, and he's desperately trying to cling on to some social group. He's desperate at this point. He's psychologically desperate for attention, for some sort of acceptance, for some sort of acknowledgement. That's what he wants right now. Cruz always had his hair short and had a penchant for wearing patriotic shirts that seemed really extreme, like hating on Islam. That's a typo right there. Brody said the suspect gunman had also derailed Muslims as terrorists and bombers. So I don't think this is some belief that he legitimately held on. I think he was just mainly desperate for some sort of acceptance, to be some sort of a in group. And when he saw the hatred towards a lot of people, like Muslims, like these Islamophobic tendencies that some people had, some conservative groups had, he wanted to join and become a part of that group. That's where a lot of these new groups, new revolutionary groups, quote unquote, like the Trump movement, a lot of these groups have young people because young people want to belong. And this is one of the groups that, like, this is how they operate. And a lot of political groups know this as well. So the smart ones at least, they cater to them. They cater to young people. But let me digress right here. I've seen him wear a Trump hat. Again, I don't think he believed these things. I think he was just deranged and just wanted to belong. Most kids ignored him in school. They pushed him off to the side as if he was garbage. He screamed in class at one time. He was upset and started yelling at the teacher. The teacher was trying to help him and just looked at the wrong way, Brody continued. So when you're that isolated, you're so isolated that you don't want to, you're lashing out at help. He was lashing out. Like when someone is that isolated, you're gonna lash out to anyone trying to talk to you because you don't want to be taken advantage of. Like, not only do you feel rejected and not wanted, you feel that people are going to take advantage of you. You feel legitimately paranoid at that point. And it's a sad story. He lived a sad life. He felt rejected most of his life. We'll get to that later. And this is just one more episode in his life of rejection. Like, high school is not the end of. It's gonna be the end of his free life. He's probably gonna end up the rest of his life in jail, where he should, because he committed a horrible crime and he should end up there. Let me digress. Let's continue reading on. One student told the Miami Herald that he was expelled and told never to return to school wearing a bag after bullets were found in his backpack. But that has not been confirmed by officials. Friends and family of both Cruz's parents, who adopted him at birth, had died. His mother, late last year, he moved in with his friend's family after he's been expelled. Wow, that is very sad. So not only did his birth parents pretty much give him up for adoption, his adopted parents, both of them died. So he was orphaned pretty much twice. And when you when you feel rejected and there's a huge tragedy in your life like that, you're gonna like. Here's what I think he was thinking. Like, he didn't think that there was anyone in the world who loved him, who cared for him. He was rejected in high school. That does stuff to you. That level of rejection definitely like leaves a scar in your face, inside your psyche. And unfortunately, he got a hold of some guns that Jim Lewis, the attorney representing the suspect, told the Sun Sentinel that he already owned an AR-15, which he bought legally. When he moved into a house around Thanksgiving, it was his gun, he said. The family made him keep it in a locked cabinet and house, but he had a key. I mean, what are you going to do? It's a gun-free country. Lewis said the family encouraged Cruz to continue his education and that he had a job in a dollar store. The family was devastated. They didn't see this coming. They told him that it was a classic case of no good deeds gone unpunished, he said. He was a little quirky, but he was depressed about his mom's death. Well, but wouldn't you be? Yeah. So he was really depressed. He definitely had that sense of rejection since he was born, since his birth parents put him up for adoption. On top of that, in your formative years when you're in high school, when you're that rejected from your peer group, that's gonna leave some sort of devastating effect on you. Like, I could see that at this point he was lashing out to his with his teachers, and even like that is really disturbing. Like, that definitely should have been a red flag to the school administrators, and they should have gotten him some counseling to help him out, because he's a social outcast, and it's always the social outcasts who lash out. It's always the people that that are going through things like this that end up joining groups like ISIS or white supremacist groups because they want to belong. People like this definitely want to belong to a group. They're not in any group, and they're gonna feel more and more isolated. This is just human nature. This is just primate nature, actually. Like, this is what badger males do in ape societies. They become like, they go on the hunt to find another group, another pride, or whatever. This is what happens to a lot of males, and when you don't have that, when you don't have the group that you're seeking, you're gonna do something like this. You're gonna be desperate for that group because it's an innate human want to be part of a group. All right, so let's keep reading right here. Ocean Prody's 15-year-old sister Milan had a similar impression. Cruz is her brother. I can tell that he tried to be social at times, but there was something off about him. She said, I never really saw him as many people. Girls thought he was creepy and weird. He was pretty pale with red hair. I didn't talk to him that much, but from what I could tell, that he was a nice kid. He was he wore a lot of black and was always alone. Wow, that is sad. Still, Milan Pro described Cruz as always enthusiastic. He never seemed depressed or sad. He always was a little crazy. Best way to put it, he was preppy. He was peppy, but not in a good way. In a crazy way. He tried to look creepy or weird, I think. He tried to talk to one of my girlfriends, and he said that she was cute, but she was weirded out, and he was bothering her. I mean, when you're that desperate, you're gonna push a lot of people away, because nobody likes desperate people. That's sad. Most kids ignored him in school and pushed him off to the side as if he was garbage. Honestly, a lot of people were saying he is going to be him. One student told the studio of Cruz, actually a lot of kids joked saying that he was gonna be one of those kids shoot up the school, but it turns out, everyone predicted it, and that's crazy. The student added, he was in the third floor. He knows the school layout. He knows where everyone would be. He knows where to be in fire drills. He prepped for that stuff. Another student told